Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show, where I could not be happier than to have a couple of our friends here in the studio to talk about Be Ready Park City. And that's why we start with Hugh Daniels. He's the emergency program manager for Park City Municipal, and Chief Paul Hewitt. Welcome, both of you, to the show.
Morning. Good to be here.
To have you here.
Thanks for having us.
You know, we could talk about this a lot, and we should, because we don't want anyone to, we don't want to lose anybody. We want to keep everybody and make sure that we're all safe. And there is so much to talk about when it comes to that, especially this time of year. We start talking about wildfires, and oh my gosh, this last weekend, I read this. I was at the other job putting out some news about wildfire, and I think they said 36 fires started in just the 24-hour period that I was there on last Saturday. 36. That's amazing. And maybe there's lots more. I don't know.
Actually, I was on the website yesterday looking, and in the western United States, so us and Utah surrounding us plus California, they were over 50.
Jeez. It's unreal, isn't it?
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, you know, when you start looking at these numbers, they impact everybody. Either from, you know, your direct impact, you're there, or you've got the air quality and things like that go with it, or you know somebody is involved, and so either way it's scary. But there's plenty we can do. I guess that's what we really need to talk about. What do we need to do, and how can we be better prepared?
Well, I think the reason that we, the Park City community, has been relatively unscathed by wildfires is because of doing this. We get out and talk about it.
Yeah.
And the best defense we have from wildfires is our populace. The population that lives here. If they'll call 911 if they see smoke or flames, and get us there quickly, because we do have little starts here and there caused by truck brakes or whatever. Maybe a firework here and there, or something over the years. That's our best defense, is letting the public know, don't hesitate to call us. And if we can get out there very fast, we have a good chance of stopping it. And we have, again, we've remained pretty much untouched by the ill effects, but we want to keep it that way. We have
because we know what it's like when we don't. Boy, we've had some scary ones.
Yeah, we have forests we have a lot of dead trees in our forests in our 110 square mile fire district and in Park City proper, and a lightning strike can start it. So what I would like to get out to the public is look for the smoke and flame and call us quick and call us early, so we can do something about it.
It reminds me of those old days with the fire stands. You know, we don't really have too many of those anymore. There's not places where people are out just watching, you know, like a meerkat just looking for smoke. We're relying on everybody to do that now.
Yeah, the eyes and ears of our population are, again, our very best defense. But we can, and what we're here today to talk about is being prepared, and that is knowing what you're going to do if you have to leave right now. If I looked at you right now and said, get out of your house. Yeah. What do you do? Some people pause.
Yeah, I throw the cat in my pillowcase and grab the dog, and I'm on my way.
Very good. I mean, you take the pet, right?
Yeah.
And you take the people, and but some people pause and they wait for that time around the nation. We've seen it, and they haven't resolved what is vitally important to them, and they hesitate and they run around and they grab all kinds of belongings, and it puts a hold on the evacuation. And so I guess another message, it's hard to remember lists and stuff, and I would advise people to go to the Park City Fire District website. It's pcfd.org. There's a wealth of information there, so you can review it with your family. But if you get nothing out of today's message, it is resolve what is vitally important to you right now.
Right.
And when and if an evacuation order ever does come, get out right now.
Yeah, we talk about this, and you say that, you know, this hesitation. You're thinking, people at home are like, so I mean like a half hour? No, we're talking minutes, moments. You got to get out right now. You guys know what it's like to see a flashover and things that can happen, and fires at crossroads and scary stuff. Explain when we talk about how fast something like that can happen, let's get it a little more definitive for people who don't quite get it.
Well, wildfires in the crown at the tops of trees, they've been known to travel as fast as the wind's blowing. So if the wind is blowing, in the Bryan Head fires, they had winds of 40 and 50 miles an hour. The fire will travel at 40 and 50 miles an hour. And I don't know, how fast can you run, Hugh?
Not that fast.
Not that fast. It can outrun you, and we saw that happen.
It'll outrun you on foot easily, and even on motorcycle or some vehicles, it'll chase you, and we've seen it. I mean, there's stories of wildland firefighters escaping in vehicle, and they pull over because the fire outruns them.
Yeah.
Whatever roadway they're on doesn't allow them to go fast enough. So
yeah, that's why we make these. They've got sometimes these shells they can throw themselves to protect them for when that fire is going to pass, because there's just no way to outrun it. We've seen people just last week, I forget which country, that died because they couldn't get out of the way. Hundreds of people.
So I hate to be the alarmist, but
no, it's important to be this specific, I think.
But it's one
job.
Yeah, it is our
an alarmist.
He doesn't need to be the alarmist. But you know, we have a lot of resources here, and we have evacuation plans. We have signs in neighborhoods that tell people how to get out. Pay attention to those. Know your quickest route out. And you don't necessarily have to wait for an evacuation order. An evacuation order may not come.
Right.
So understand and know what's dangerous, and don't hesitate to get out if you feel threatened. You
know, we're going to talk about this a little more in a minute when we start talking about family communication, but my dad was a firefighter, of course, and so, and what, 10 generations ahead of him. So I had really no choice but to deal with this stuff when I was young. But I remember, this is my favorite moment with my dad. I'm about 7 years, maybe 6 years old, I think I'm 6. And he was doing a family fire drill. And I think this counts for an evacuation too, of reminding them what's the one thing you want to grab and we're out of here. But he stood, I remember he said, okay, there's a fire in the house, what do you do? And we started, you know, running for the door or for a window or whatever, and he stood, he'd walk over in front of whatever thing we were going to and open up this thing, a big thing of flames. Can't go out this way, where are you going? And it was just, I just remember that at 6. That's a profound moment when Dad's kind of reminding you and getting that specific with you about these things. But we do need to talk to our family to that level. That kind of communication, that evacuation plan is important, right?
It is, and having a backup plan is almost as good as having your primary plan.
Right.
Because things never go like you think they're going to go. And you know, having that route to get out of your neighborhood, is there a second route out of your neighborhood?
Right.
If you can't go down the one you normally go.
Yeah.
Particularly up in our canyons and areas where we don't have as many choices. We do want to let people know, so we've talked about this before, but you've got to register your cell phone in the emergency alert system. So it's parkcityalerts.org or summitcounty.org. Because if we can't reach you, you're not going to get the message.
And this is the fastest way to get you. We're not all sitting around watching television anymore.
No, nobody is.
No one is
doing that.
Yeah.
And your family is going 5 different directions. You got mom going this way, dad going this way. The kids are off that way. They're all in different areas.
Right.
So that's one of our quickest ways. I mean, making some decisions on your own is okay too. I think the chief's absolutely right. You know, if you see a bunch of smoke and flames, maybe it's time to pack up the car and
leave
the kids and everything, and go to family or go someone else. In the long run, we can set up reception centers and evacuation centers. We have agreements with the American Red Cross. We've decided already what areas we will send people to. Interestingly enough, in evacuations, the majority of the people go to friends and family.
Yeah.
They don't go to an evacuation center, but for those people that don't have friends and family in the area, we'll set that up. In Park City, the primary one is at the Park City Mark. It's got a lot of space on the tennis courts and in the gym, and so we can set up evacuation center there for over 2,000 people, interestingly enough. So
wow.
And so those plans are in place and staff are trained to do that. We hope we never have to do that. We also have the ability to use schools, to use the Snyderville Basin Field House. So we've thought through all of those things and how we set those up. But
Lots
the
of
most
scenarios.
important thing is to get out of there.
Yeah.
And then we'll get you in a place to keep things going for you while the fire service works at getting that fire out.
I think it's worth mentioning too, because we've got the time, so let's talk about this. When you talk about the things you guys are planning behind the scenes, they're immense. These plans they're immense. They have all kinds of detail to them. Setting up a JIC and a GIS and all the different places to, command center to run things and to figure out stuff.
That's pretty much my job.
That's your job. Talk about that for a minute. I mean, how many man hours are you guys putting into this? This is not insignificant. It is a lot.
No, and it's ongoing because things change, and the requirements that both the state and the federal government have for us change as well. Things get updated. We get things constantly from FEMA on ideas that have changed, and I've seen that just in my career as the emergency manager. We've gone to an all hazards. I guess it's paradigm now, you'd say, where we have a single plan for everything, and you just modify it based on what the hazard is. So whether it's severe weather or a fire or an earthquake or a pandemic or something like that. My plan actually, I took a little different tack. The Park City plan is the main plan is 32 pages. Easy for everybody to read.
Yep.
Don't have to try to flip through a 4-inch binder to look at it. That said, all the annexes and appendices are probably another about 500 pages, and that's what gets into the details that you're talking about. It's exactly how we are going to do that. And I think it's real important for the community to know we expect you to be prepared, because we do not have the manpower, the money, the people, the equipment to take care of everybody in town. If you're expecting us to come to your house and bring you food, water, and take care of you and put a blanket around your shoulders, I'm sorry to say, not going to happen.
Right. Well, it's time to face that fact. And I've mentioned this on the show before, and everybody's like, well, you're just all doom and gloom. No. The governor has told us this many times when we talk about earthquakes and things like that. You're on your own for 3 days.
At least.
Yeah.
That's the bare minimum.
Straight up, yeah, for sure that's going to happen. You're on your own. And to get people to understand that and really to do the minimum to take care of themselves, this is your chance. This is your wake-up call right now. You got to do it. Take the time to start, to get some of the forms that are available online, to get some of the paperwork that's out there. Be Ready Utah, Be Ready, .gov. All the big websites have all those lists and things to start to think about. And even if you just do them as the exercise of just thinking it through, right?
Yeah, you can go to some of the websites that you put up there on our Park City Fire District website, print off a few things, put them in a little binder, and you've got a run and go, right? Take it with you. Yeah. I think Hugh said it well. If you don't get anything out of this, because we're not real good, human beings aren't real good about remembering lists, and who knows when this is going to happen. Yeah. It could happen tomorrow, it could happen never, it could happen 7 years from now. And so typically it's going to be hard the thing to remember is get distance between you and the threat. That's all you got to remember. Just put a lot of distance between you and the threat. We'll figure out the rest. Right. We'll be on the radio. We'll be on the television.
There'll be going the other way past us.
Yeah, we'll figure out where to put you, but get distance. Get away from the threat, and let us take care of the problem as best we can when and if it happens. And again, report any fire, smoke. That's our best defense. All
right, we've got just a moment here. I want to ask you this to review. Defensible space. Probably a good time to talk about this, because you're talking about how we're going the other way, you're going in. How can we help you take care of these fires? How can we make sure that you got the space to work?
So in the past, I've somewhat in jest said there's 2 ways to lose your job as a fire chief here in Park City, and that is to let the neighborhood burn down, and the second one is to require people to cut all of their growth away from their home. And they oppose each other, but luckily there's an in-between step, and that is that the foliage should never touch your house. Right. And this is another thing that I should tell everybody out there. There's a lot of homes here that have dead trees on their lots. It's privately owned property. And so you can make a huge impact by cutting away all the dead growth from your lot. That's number one. Number two is get the growth that's near the ground up, so and on our website it'll tell you all the 30 to 100 foot defensible space zones, and it'll give you a lot more hints. But if you, just from this program, if you go out around your house today and do a 360, make sure that none of these dead trees are there. If you can't cut them out, pay somebody to come out and cut them out. We have a chipping program, the fire district does. We'll come out and chip your growth, put it in a pile out in your neighborhood. Time's growing short on that, though. That only runs for another month and a half or so.
Yeah, I forget what you have on the side of the chipper, but it's kind of funny. There's a little comment on there about that, about protecting us with the chipper.
But so defensible space is important. You can do a lot every year. Walk around your property, make sure you're cut back a little bit from the house, and again, have your 72-hour kit. Be ready to just go. If something happens, and we'll do everything we can to protect your property.
Guys, I want to thank you so much as always for helping us out. Pro tip here, my pro tip for the day, because we know everybody, the first thing they're thinking about besides their family and animals is the photographs, right? And I always remind you, it's a digital era. So take all your photos, take a couple weeks, whatever, send them to somebody if you don't want to do it, scan them all in, put them on a hard drive, maybe even put them on 2 hard drives, keep one at the house, go put one in the bank vault somewhere so it's protected. If that's the only thing you only have one, you just need to grab that when you leave your house. That's pretty easy. Grab that, grab your animals, and leave, right?
Yep, you gave another one too. Your dad was a firefighter, and house fires are more prevalent than wildfires even. We have a lot of them. So, and Hugh said have a couple of ways out of your neighborhood, have a couple of ways out of your house. Make sure your young kids know how to get out. Can they get out on the roof and maybe go to a low point to jump off of? I don't know.
They need to know.
Yeah, think ahead of time. You can do this stuff too. You don't have to visit websites. Just get your plan. They say failure to plan is a plan to fail, right?
Exactly.
So if you're doing nothing, at least mentally think about it and approach it.
And your photos.
Yep.
Add to that all your documents, your insurance policies, everything else. Scan them, put them on a disk, password protected, send it to your niece in Idaho, which is what I do.
Yeah.
And if I need it, she can send them back to me.
There you go.
Diamonds survive fire. You can leave your jewelry.
Yeah. Exactly. Guys, thank you so much as always. I really appreciate it. It's good information, and it's a good time to think about it yet again. In fact, you should try to make this an exercise every month or so of just getting the plan together, make sure it's together, and that you're ready to go, and you're ready, Park City. All right, we'll be back with more of our Be Ready segment. We're going to talk about families and communication. That's an important part. That's coming up right after this.